Hey guys, it's Aubri Blaize with Keller Williams Kansas City North on the Aubri Blaize team. I'm the team lead, and I've created this video to help you understand the exclusive right to sell agreement that you are filling out with me or somebody on the team. I know there's a lot of information thrown at you at the beginning, especially when selling a property. So I figured that this video you can go back and kind of watch so you understood what you were signing, and you can go back and kind of remember some things so that way you feel better about it. Anyway, I hope this helps. So we're going to talk about the exclusive right to sell agreement. This is an agreement between your listing agent and you, and we need this to be able to list your property, to market your property, to sell your property, to help you with the transaction and negotiations all the way up until closing of your property. So we're there to help you through the entire process. There's a lot to selling a home, and the goal is to sell it for the highest price possible under the best terms and make it as smooth as possible. So we have the knowledge to foresee challenges down the line. So it's very important to have somebody like us to help you. So this document is just saying that, hey, this is agreement between you and your listing agent to represent you in your best interest when selling a property. So on the document, you're going to see at the very top, it's going to have your names or your name, and then ASP, AMP, or AMC. That's a single person, a married person, a married couple. Title requires this. They need to know if you're married or not married, and that depends on how they're going to put it on the deed or the title. The next one is going to be the property address that we are listing to sell, and its legal description below that. Then it's going to go into a term date. This is the date that you're allowing us to list the house and sell it up to a certain time. So it's going to start the day that you sign it. And then typically we do a 7-month period. That is typical for a normal home in a normal area to be sold in a balanced market, but it could be more like a year, especially for land, or it could be less than that. It can be whatever a term or agreement you want, but typically it's 7 months. So then under that is the listing price. It's what we're going to list it for in MLS. So that's what everyone's going to see the listing price to be. And then it's going to say residential, new construction, or land. So depending on that property type. Okay, let's talk about section 2 of the exclusive right to sell contract. This is what our agreement and what we will provide, or our team will provide to you listing your home. So what we will do, obviously, is going to be marketing it. We're going to market and advertise your property. It's going to be on KWLS, MLS, which auto-populates to 372 websites, so you're getting maximum amount of exposure. You're going to find it on Realtor.com, Zillow, websites, social media platforms, Facebook, stuff like that, and you're allowing us to do so. And also it going into MLS, it'll be listed for any person working with an agent to be able to see it. Most serious buyers are working with a real estate agent, and they're set up on an MLS search to find all of the properties in their criteria. And if your property meets their criteria, it's going to show up there for them. And it's going to have information about the property's square footage, bedrooms, bathrooms, school district, all of that. It's going to be on MLS, as well as different reports and stuff as well. So if you're somebody who wants your listing to be more low-key or hush-hush, there's other options like private office exclusive. There's some positives to that, but there's also some negatives to that because you're reducing the amount of exposure. So MLS and listing it live on MLS is the best for getting maximum exposure on your property. And then it goes and talks about MLS status right below that. And so if you're signing a contract, let's say today, but it's not going live until maybe next Thursday or a future date, then you'll be going into the pre-MLS status, which is like a coming soon status. And people that are working with an agent will be able to see the coming soon status home. So not the whole entire public, so it's just exclusive access to people who are already working with a buyer's agent who typically pre-approved, and they're more serious, and they are able to know, okay, this property's coming on this date, and they can be very prepared. Otherwise, you'll be, if it's not going into pre-MLS, it'll be going the day that you sign, it'll go on to MLS. So that just talks about that in this section. Skipping over to the next page, we will also exercise reasonable skill and care, promoting your best interests with the utmost good faith and loyalty. We cannot do anything illegal, and we will be communicating offers, counter offers, answering questions, and communicating and presenting all offers to you with your permission. And the moment we get an offer, you're going to know about it. We have to present that within any and all offers within a reasonable amount of time, unless you have told us, hey, I want to hear all about all the offers on this date. Don't bother me after this time, such and such and such. And then my job and our team's job, or any agent that's a designated agent's job, is to release or share all material defects about a property. So if you know that a basement is leaking, you do legally have to disclose that. And if you tell one of us, we legally have to share that with the other party. We cannot hide environmental hazards, material defects, physical condition of a property if we're aware of it. So you don't want to either. You want to share everything you possibly know about a property. That way it gets you out of any type of future lawsuit. And we obviously have to do everything by the law. So during the sale of your home until possession of the buyer, you will be taking care of the property, maintaining the condition, mowing the lawn, keeping the utilities on. You're okay with us putting a for sale sign in the front yard and a lockbox, things like that, and allowing showings to go. We can set up a schedule if you need to, however that may be, but allowing showings and people to come in to check out the property so they can write an offer on it. Hey guys, so this next part, you're going to see me in different clothes, different hair from what you saw previously, and that's because there has been some changes with NAR and the way that agents get paid their compensation, and so I have to be with the time. So I am inserting this new up-to-date with the new contracts, and that is why there's a little snippet of me looking completely different. Okay, so you're going to see this section for the listing agent compensation. Our team offers 3 listing compensation packages that have a little bit of different things in it and benefits to each. And you can go back and forth and we can discuss the needs and wants of what you want out of this entire transaction and change in your life, and we can find something that works perfect for you, and that's what will go in that section. And then there is a flat fee, and then below that is a compensation if there was no buyer's agent involved and it's unrepresented buyer. We do charge an additional fee to walk those people through the contract. We don't represent them, but they still need help with writing contracts. They still need probably numbers for inspections, making sure things run smoothly. They probably don't know what they're going to do. They don't know how to write contracts. So there is a fee for that. Hey guys, so we're going to be talking about compensation. So a lot of things have changed out in the world. Compensation is distributed differently, which is good news for you. So now you are only responsible for your listing agent's compensation off the bat. So whatever is negotiated between you and your listing agent is what you are responsible for. And what's awesome about this is now you're only responsible for negotiating that listing agent compensation, and then the buyer's agent compensation can be negotiated on the back end with that buyer and their client. Okay, so what happens with the buyer's agent compensation, and how does that play into or possibly affect me as a seller? So let's talk about that. So a buyer's agent can get paid in one of 3 ways. The first one is their buyers can pay for their buyer's agent compensation outright, and you don't have to worry about it. 2, which is probably going to be somewhat common, is they're going to increase the purchase price to cover their buyer's agent compensation. Maybe they don't have the cash up front, but they're going to finance it into their loan, and then it would come out of their payment. So they would be asking you to pay for it, but they would be kind of covering it by increasing that purchase price. And then the third way, which might end up being the most common way, is they might straight up try to negotiate it, split it with you, or ask you to pay for it completely. And what matters is how much you net at the end of the day, and if you're okay with that. So I hope that kind of clears up any confusion, and we'll go on to the next section. We're going to talk about if you were to list a house with me or somebody on the team, and for whatever reason you chose to cancel, if a buyer had come during the time we had listed and they decided to write an offer after we canceled, we are still owed a commission. That's to protect us because technically we procured that buyer for this specific property. So it's just a little bit, that's just there to protect us. A lot of people will try to cut agents out of the deal, and it's not very fair. So this is truly to protect the agent from the time that they've spent marketing that property. Anything after that is all, yours pretty much. So let's go into talking about the seller's disclosure. The seller's disclosure is a really long, actually I have it over here, a really long packet that tells the buyer every single thing about your property, how long you've lived there, if it's on septic or if it's on public sewage, if it's, what type of build it is, if it's had any issues, HOA information, things that are staying, like if the washer and dryer and fridge are staying with the property or if they're not. And it's good to fill that out to your best of knowledge, and it talks about making sure you fill it out to the best of your knowledge. If you lie about any material defects on this, you know that I will and our team are not liable if you were to lie. I know all of you guys, and I feel like I trust everybody. You guys are not going to lie about it, but you could be in trouble if you did lie. So you just want to be very, very clear with that. And then it goes into the next section. It talks about our Missouri and Kansas brokerage disclosure. It basically reiterates the exact same thing on the Missouri or Kansas, depending on what state you're in, disclosure. So you're going to actually skip all the way over to page 6 of 9. And we're going to go into line 273, and that's paragraph 7. It talks about legal and other regulatory disclosures. A lot of this, it talks about TILA RESPA, which is for buyers primarily, that the lender that they're using needs to provide all of the closing figures for them 3 banking days prior to their scheduled closing to minimize delays. So they are required to do this, or they can be held liable. And it talks about if you're foreign and you're selling a property, that you want to consult with an attorney or accountant familiar with foreign investment and real estate property tax. So if that's you, there's that. It also says in the next section that you give us permission to use pictures, MLS listing information, and marketing even after the close. So sometimes I will post success stories in the future of a property, and this is just allowing us to do so. We don't share any personal information unless you're okay with it or you want us to, and we might share like a picture or something like that. Next section on the next page talks about franchise disclosure. It's just saying that Keller Williams is a franchise. And then it talks about title insurance and holding title insurance up until close. And you can use a title of choice to close. I like to, if you're north of the river, use Thompson Infinity. If you're south of the river, I like to use Chicago Title. If you're doing anything that you want to sign online, I use Chicago Title. So those are my options, but you can technically choose. I just choose them because I know them really well. I know that they'll get us to the closing table super smoothly, and they really do know what they're doing. And then you can offer or opt into a home warranty. So say you have a home warranty now that would be transferable to the buyer and you want to transfer it to them. This section talks about if you're going to do that. You can also pay to have a home warranty. It actually will cover you as a seller up until you close. They have like the basic coverage and an extended seller's coverage that covers HVAC, and I think it's $70 or $75 an add-on that you would pay at the time of paying the deposit, and it kind of opts you in. So it's like extra coverage up until you sell the property and then transfer that home warranty to a buyer. If you do so, it does alleviate some stress if something were to happen while you're under contract. I use Home Warranty Inc., but depending on who you have already, or if you choose somebody else, you can do so. Typically, a home warranty covers the acronym PEACH: plumbing, electrical, appliances, cooling, and heating. So anything that goes wrong with that, it'll be covered. Okay, the next section is section 11. This is on page 8 of 9, so we're almost done. Arbitration agreement. This is just if there is a dispute between any parties involved, you can seek legal advice, arbitration, or small claims court. And then going into the big box marked in red, the anti-fraud disclosure statement. This just says, like, you should never send any money anywhere. There's a lot of people that do fraud. As a seller, you should never have to pay for anything. I'm never going to tell you to transfer money anywhere. No one on our team is going to ask you to transfer money anywhere. And so you might get an email that looks like it's from me or somebody on our team, and they're saying transfer X amount of dollars to some this link, don't do it unless you've somehow talked to us and there's something crazy, like maybe something getting paid for, like some kind of, I don't know, fix or something, roofing detail or whatever before close. Otherwise, don't transfer anyone. We don't want you to be a victim of fraud. However, our brokerage does cover you to some extent if you were to be a part of, The next section just says additional terms and conditions. Put certain conditions in here if need be, depending. And then the last page, it just says this is an agreement between our team and you that you're allowing us to list and market your property and get it sold and negotiate for you, and that we're going to have your best interests at heart. And that's pretty much it, and that you're okay with that, putting a sign in the yard, all the things. And that's it. And then you'll sign. And I know that was a lot, and I appreciate you following through on this video. And I hope it helped. If you have questions, you can ask me or anyone on the team. Thanks.